World Hockey Report is presented by Lordco Auto Parts. Some breaking news on the goaltending front. Connor Mcdavid avoids suspension as well. Oh boy, we got a lot to get to. It's a Wild Wednesday World Hockey Report brought to you by Lordco Auto Parts. Now open in Edmonton, Alberta on St. Albert Trail Northwest. It's Cody Jansen, Adam Ermintrout with you this morning. Of course, connect with us on Twitter at any time at World Hockey RPT. Tons to get to on the show. What's your thoughts on McDavid? Tweet at us. Let us know anytime. We got the kid Adam Ermintrout with us over in Saskatchewan. Snap it over there. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
Good, man. Just, grinding. It was like minus 30, not minus 30. There's a ton of snow and wind the other day, and it's plus 17 the next. So we're almost there.
We did get a bunch of snow, but it's all gone now. It was so windy there for that day and a bit. Oh, man. Just brutal. You can't even go outside. It hurts your ears.
Yeah, it's terrible, man.
Not even golf season yet either. A ton to get to on the show today. How much hockey you been watching? You've been all over it on Twitter, though. You're watching every game, aren't you?
Yeah, man, pretty much every night. 5, and the time change is great, right? 5 o'clock hits now, and it's just sit down, pit in, watch hockey. I mean, I'm kind of sick of watching the Flames and whoever they're playing, but for the most part, it's been good.
Well, let's get to some breaking news. This is per Pierre LeBrun here. He's hearing that the Florida Panthers are close to signing Spencer Knight, college goaltender, college stud, World Junior gold medalist. I think he played in 3 World Juniors too. He's the 13th overall pick back in 2019. Supposed to happen today or tomorrow. That's big. That's going to bring up some goaltending controversy. I mean, I know Bobrovsky had been playing a little better of recent. Dreger's kind of taken over a half-ass starting role there. So now they're going to have a 3-headed monster. I would assume he goes to the taxi squad. But again, I don't know. How does it work? So if they move Bobrovsky to the taxi squad, does his money not count against the cap?
Oh, no, it does.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought there was something that you could move them and their money doesn't count against the cap.
I don't think so, because then
Okay.
the Oilers would have $6 free million for James Neal.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Okay, let's cut that one out, James. I thought there was some way around it. Let's move on, though. I guess let's get your thoughts on Knight, though. American League, I would assume to start for him. Obviously he's one of the best college goaltenders of the past decade, to say the least. I don't think he's NHL ready, though. I mean, he struggled a little bit college hockey playoffs. World Juniors, he was good. Don't get me wrong. But he's not NHL ready. He's still years away.
No, and I mean, goalies take a couple extra years, obviously. And even going back to the draft pick, I think a lot of people thought Knight might go in the top 10. I think Buffalo was a team that a lot of people thought he could go to. And it just got to a point in the draft where you're like, if we're going to take a franchise goalie, we might as well take him. But Florida took him, and everyone's like, oh, you kind of have Bobrovsky, or they were going to sign Bobrovsky. I forgot the timing on it. But as soon as the draft pick was made, everyone's like, so what's the thinking here? And now you look at Chris Dreger, who's played unreal this year, and he's going to be a UFA. And yeah, I don't really get it. And if they're signing Knight, I don't know if they're just burning a year for him to go play in the AHL, right? And the same thing, Minnesota's going to sign Matt Boldy, and sure, he's going to go to Iowa, but I don't think it's for him to stay in Iowa for a couple months, right? I'd assume they expect these guys to be impact players, and I guess we'll see where it goes. But the Bobrovsky contract, 6 months after it was signed, it's amongst the worst in the NHL.
Here's the thing with Knight that gets me is if he is going to be jumping right into the NHL, which very well could happen, it's going to be in a backup role to Bobrovsky, and they're going to be moving a guy like Dreger at the deadline for some assets because this season's, is it a write-off now, Adam? Can we call it that? Barkov's out, Ekblad's out for the season. I mean, it's not like they have a legitimate Stanley Cup chance anymore. They're missing too many pieces. They're battling too many elements. It's an off year. Do you try move Dreger? Well, he's got a lot of value. He's going to be a UFA. He's going to sign elsewhere likely. He knows what's the point of him signing back in Florida when they're putting all their eggs in the Spencer Knight basket and they've got Bobrovsky, a contract who they can't move. What's the point of him re-signing there? He's going to have better offers elsewhere. So now I think you kind of got to sell off a few assets, and I think Dreger's that guy.
No, I agree. It's tough to see now, right? Because they're having such a good year, and Ekblad, I mean, losing your number one D man, you don't just replace him by committee or whatever they say. And there are teams that will need goalies. I mean, you look at Toronto or something like that, and we'll get into that with David Alter. But yeah, it's a bit of a risk. I mean, to just bank on a guy who's never played before to kind of come in and be that guy for you. But Knight's good, and I guess we'll see where it goes.
I guess we probably could have got to some of our guests for today here coming up in about 35 minutes. David Alter, Toronto Maple Leafs reporter, going to join this show, as well as Anthony Filippo, something like that. Flyers writer. I'm not good with names. Flyers writer for Crossing Broad, co-host Snow the Goalie. Go check that out. It's actually a great podcast at Snow the Goalie. Go check it out on Twitter. We'll talk Flyers with him, maybe some Carter Hart. Oh, man, I can't even skip over this, Adam. I got to get this rant out. Who's that clown in Philly? I got it screenshotted here. Sam Carchidi. You know what I'm talking about? That writer?
Yeah.
What a loser. And I mean, hey, I'm not here just to call people a piece of shit for fun. That's such a scumbag move. You're such a loser if you're going to dive into your source bin and start writing articles about mental health where you're not getting comments from the player, his sports psychologist, anything like that. You're actually such an asshat even to dive into that. I mean, mental health is no joke, and this guy is exploiting a person, a young NHL player for mental health. And, just for clicks. I mean, what a scumbag. If you're Sam Carchidi, I mean, I'm not one to, say anything too rude, but if I'm in a parking lot and I see his car, I'm probably going to hit it. That's a scumbag move. And I don't know. I mean, I hope that no one answers any of his questions ever again. If I'm a Philadelphia Flyers player, I hope that is that the same guy who Voracek called out?
No, that guy's name was Mike or something.
Oh, right. Okay, I don't know what it is about Flyers media. Maybe we'll get into that later, but what a scumbag. I mean, you're such a piece of shit. If that's what you're writing and you're not going to name any sources, you're just going to go off of a whim. Like, I don't know. I mean, talk about TMZ clickbait shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the head there. So McDavid suspension gets $5,000. I don't know, kind of goes out of his way, look pretty angry, I guess, whatever.
Mask guy Adam comes out.
What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, here's the thing, and I got to give a shout out. I think Tyler Cool off the Cool Show was talking about this as well for another suspension. As he goes, before you make your decision, swap the players in that situation. So if it's Kotkaniemi hitting McDavid, what does he get? Is it a different standard? If it's someone hitting McDavid like that, doesn't matter who it is. What's the standard going to be set? And I don't think it's a $5,000 fine, dude. I don't. I think it's 1 or 2 games. And I'm not saying it's the dirtiest hit in the world, but they got to hold everyone to the same standard. A $5,000 fine's a joke. It's a drop in the bucket for McDavid. It's nothing. I mean, that's cheaper than his couch. It's, I don't know. I think a 1 or 2 game suspension would send a precedent of like, hey, you can't do this again. $5,000, bro, whatever. I'll take a run at him next game too.
Yeah. I see it from both sides. I mean, but if you also use that comparison, but it's say if that was, I don't know, Jujhar Khaira on the Oilers hitting Kotkaniemi, then nobody's probably talking about it, right? They're just like, oh, okay. So there's that. And also, I mean, you're kidding yourself these days if you don't think that a guy gets this, or there's a 5-minute major in hockey only if a guy gets hurt, right? Like if the guy's laying on the ice, they're hurt. It's it's a 5. If he's not, then it's probably a 2-minute penalty, right? And usually no suspension. So looking at the McDavid hit, it's hard to tell if he rose up on it, like it was shoulder to shoulder, and he ended up hitting him in the face. Like, I don't know. But if you look at it, the point of impact with like the speed, no, they're just like kind of standing still almost. He just like kind of got an elbow up, I guess. And you look at guys who like those clear headshots where guys are going million miles an hour skating down the ice, and then they elbow a guy in the face. It wasn't that. It was just McDavid kind of being frustrated, saying, "Hey, I'm going to hit this guy center ice. It's not close to the board." So it could have been a suspension. Like we've talked about this how many times, like the finding a guy $5,000, like I don't really get it. But yeah, it could have been a suspension. Am I gonna go crazy that it wasn't? No. Like
that's totally fair. And I mean, you can dive into your tweet if you want at how he made money for his penalty. I think people can go check that out at World Hockey RPT. We're not going to put Adam through the gauntlet here on a Wednesday morning. It's just that hit's kind of frustrating because you see both sides of the spectrum. And this is such an Edmonton media thing where some people are going to be like, oh, it's not even a 2-minute penalty. And other people, you know, if you talk to a Montreal media member, they're going to want him gone for 5 games. It's a very tough one. Adam, and I think this is where toughness comes in. And I agree, well, with anyone who says we don't want to see Connor McDavid fighting. How did no one go and try fight him for that? How did no one think of like, I'm just going to go jump Connor McDavid while I got a chance? He just laid a chintzy hit. I mean, that's a greasy hit on Kotkaniemi, like it or not. That's a hard hit on an up-and-coming star from Montreal. How did Josh Anderson, you want to be a tough guy, why fight the third-pairing 6th, 7th D-man on the Edmonton Oilers? Take a run out of McDavid right there. At least you're going top line for a trade-off, but someone actually did something. You're not just gifting someone a fight because...
Yeah,
that's what frustrates me. And I get it. Everyone's going, Cody, don't encourage fighting. Don't send guys after Connor McDavid. I don't care. Knock his teeth in. You're going to lay a dirty hit on one of my teammates? Yeah, you deserve to eat a cross check in the face. You deserve to take a couple of knuckles. I don't know. That's how hockey should be played.
Yeah, I actually heard a story kind of similar to this the other day where it's like somebody was saying, I think might have been on Overdrive, Jamie McLennan or something, where a guy on Vancouver hit Gretzky and he like ran Gretzky and whatever. And I guess the guy went in the room and Messi and those guys are like, don't touch Gretzky. Like, do you know how much money he's made us? Do you know how much money he's made this league? Like, don't touch him. Don't do anything to hurt him. So, I mean, there could definitely be an unwritten rule on hitting star players and going back. But if a guy hits your teammate, especially a young guy like that, up high, you could probably go and two-hand him or grab him or something. But then if you do that, then you're not going to get him. You're going to get a piece like Darnell Nurse or something like that, or Cassian. So
dude, at that point, it's worth it. Yeah. It's literally, and I get it. I hate to be like, oh, you got to go beat the wheels off him. Doesn't matter if it's McDavid. Doesn't matter who it is. If it's Crosby, you get a couple of shots in. I mean, he knows he should know what's coming. And then sure, Darnell Nurse, whatever, someone's going to want a piece of you, whatever, you might have to take one or two. At that point, it's worth it. You just stuck up for a teammate. I hope you would earn his respect because the Habs, I mean, they don't earn my respect after that. You just had one of your stars get hit, borderline dirty, and they did nothing. That's as soft as pudding as it comes. Hey, we're diving into NHL news for Prorock Hockey Sticks. Prorock Hockey Sticks, Canadian company, changing the way we buy hockey sticks. Now, what's the number one problem you face when buying a top-of-the-line hockey stick? Well, they cost $350+, which is wild. Prorock top-of-the-line stick, weighing around 400 grams at the best price point possible. Check them out today, prorock.com. That's PROROCC.com. It's Lordco Auto Parts as well, presenting World Hockey Report. We got so much NHL news to get into, and we just burned 14 minutes right there. We will get into some of your responses to that McDavid hit. There was a lot of good ones on Twitter. Hit us up anytime at World Hockey RPT. We had one of the funniest videos of the year as well. Pierre Dorian chucking his coffee. Dude, who chucks a full coffee in a booth?
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, you took Toronto to overtime. Good for you. Like, I mean, you're
like, what's he mad about? What was he mad about? You're the Ottawa Senators.
Coaches and GMs are a different breed. Like, there's if they win a game, they're pumped up to no belief, and if they lose a game, they think they're gonna lose their job in 3 hours. So it's like,
That's Coach Adam in the Gemini Arenas after his midget B team
yeah,
loses 3-2. Tournament bronze medal game, chucking coffees around the place.
yeah. So that was a little much, but
We had a couple of
yeah.
trades as well. Brendan Lemieux goes from the Rangers to LA for a 4th-round pick. That seems like a steal, man. Who doesn't want Lemieux on their team come playoff time?
Yeah, and that's what I thought too. And if you look at
That's like the only grit on the Rangers.
I know, and if you look at the little play-in they had with Carolina last year, he was probably, I
Their
think
best player.
he was suspended, I think, at the start, and he came in and he made an immediate impact. While guys like Panarin and Zibanejad, they're perimeter guys who weren't going to take you really into the fight. So I mean, I don't really get the Rangers point. Like, I understand that they had some good performances from guys like Di Giuseppe and Colin Blackwell and stuff like that, but come playoff time, you're going to be like, damn, I wish we had Brendan Lemieux.
Great move by the Kings too. A 4th-rounder. That's a steal. That's pretty much as Montreal paid for Eric Stahl too. Like a 3rd and a 5th for Eric Stahl. What's Montreal really getting out of this? I mean, they're just gonna maybe push the first round of playoffs a little longer. Like what was really the point? Eric Stahl. I feel bad for the guy. He's got to move his. Well, I don't feel bad for anyone leaving Buffalo, but like you got to like move your family
His family's not with him even.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're
So
in Minnesota
you're
still.
away from your family to lose out in the first round. That
Yeah,
sucks. Sorry.
and for Montreal too, it seems like they have so many players. Like, they can't find enough room for like Corey Perry. Michael Frolik played his first game in over a year yesterday, and now they get Eric Stahl. And
Wonder what his agent thinks of that.
yeah, and now Cole Caulfield. Like, once again, they're burning a year off his contract. Probably not for him to play in Laval. And you look at their right side with Armia, Perry, Gallagher, Josh Anderson, Toffoli. It's like, where's Caulfield fit in? And now down the middle, Deneau, Kotkaniemi, Suzuki, is Eric Stahl going on their 4th line? Is I don't know. It seems like they have so many.
I thought they were going to be sellers at the deadline. I thought they kind of went through this slump. You know, they changed coaches. I know you can say what you want about Bergevin. I thought they might be like, well, maybe we get rid of Toffoli while he's got value. Like, maybe we sort of do a rebuild here.
Playoffs. Like, I mean, the North Division playoffs are pretty much set, right?
Yeah, but like they're in the playoffs for what? They're not a Stanley Cup contender. They're not a serious contender. They'll be lucky to win 1 round.
No, and I think that they could be getting to a really weird place where guys like Price and Weber are on the wrong side of 30, and they're waiting for Kotkaniemi, Suzuki, and Caulfield to kind of come in and make a difference. But like, and this is kind of like the Flyers mentality too, where your best players are kind of on the way out, where your young guys aren't quite there yet.
100%. Any quick thoughts on the Blues here? They suck. They suck. And go for it.
They have no identity. Like, I mean, you look at and I mean, they have had some injuries with Parayko and stuff, but they thought as soon as Doug Armstrong made that Justin Falk trade, I was like, Petrangelo's gone. And sure enough, he was. And for the Carolina Hurricanes number 4 or 5 defenseman to do that, it was weird. And you look at their D in the past, like big, strong, like Parayko, Bouwmeester, Joel Edmondson, Petrangelo, and now it's like Torrey Krug and Justin Falk, and they have no identity. And I mean, Braden Schen's having a hell of a year. Ryan O'Reilly's still a stud. Jordan Kyger's having a good year, but they seem to have kind of lost their identity of like being this big, tough team on the back end too, right?
Who thought it was a good idea? And I don't want to rip Doug Armstrong, right?
Yeah.
DM. I don't want to rip him too much here, but who thought it was a good idea to be like, look at the team we had and how we played when we won a cup. We were big, we were mean, we were strong, we were fast, we were physical, we played well, good defensively. And then they put this roster together. They got softer in all aspects. They play worse defense. They're trying to play a skilled offensive style. It's not hard-nosed at all. I don't think they hit.
Well, they never replaced Steen and Maroon either.
Well, I know they literally took so many steps backwards. They just tried to build this skilled, fast team after you won a cup by playing normal playoff hockey. Like, who thought that was a good idea? It doesn't make sense. Okay, we got to get off to a break here, though, but I do got to tell you, Lordco Auto Parts, household name in communities across Western Canada since 1974, trusted place to shop for all your automotive needs. Lordco, proudly Canadian, owned and operated, and now they finally come to Edmonton, carrying much more than just car parts. Their newest store on St. Albert Trail Northwest, huge selection of aftermarket auto parts and accessories, and a dedicated truck center. Whether you're looking for high-performance parts, shop equipment, paint, body supplies, outdoor gear, whatever you need to get your RV on the road or boat on the water, Lordco's got you covered. Driven to keep you moving. Lordco Auto Parts open 7 days a week. Visit them today for an exceptional customer experience, or learn more about their products and services at lordco.com. All right, it's World Hockey Report. Cody Jansen, Adam Ermintrout with you on 12 Ounce Sports. We're going to talk Flyers after the break.
Lordco Auto Parts has been a household name in communities across Western Canada since 1974. Lordco is proudly Canadian owned and operated, and now they're in Edmonton. Carrying much more than just car parts, their newest store in St. Albert Trail Northwest has a huge selection of aftermarket auto parts and accessories. Visit them today for an exceptional customer experience, or learn more about their products and services at lordco.com.
Refreshingly different, Cocoa Vodka and Cocoa Rum is a vacation in a can. The best drink you'll ever have is now on more shelves than ever. Enjoy the Cocoa life made with high-quality ingredients. Check us out today at Enjoycoco.com. We are the real deal. Cocoa Vodka and Cocoa Rum.
Change your game with the all-new Prorock hockey stick. A Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Prorock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at Prorock.com. Play like a Prorock.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you
Lordco Auto Parts has been a household name in communities across Western Canada since 1974. Lordco is proudly Canadian owned and operated, and now they're in Edmonton. Carrying much more than just car parts, their newest store in St. Albert Trail Northwest has a huge selection of aftermarket auto parts and accessories. Visit them today for an exceptional customer experience, or learn more about their products and services at lordco.com.
Refreshingly different, Cocoa Vodka and Cocoa Rum is a vacation in a can. The best drink you'll ever have is now on more shelves than ever. Enjoy the Cocoa life made with high-quality ingredients. Check us out today at Enjoycoco.com. We are the real deal. Cocoa Vodka and Cocoa Rum.
Change your game with the all-new Prorock hockey stick. A Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Prorock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at Prorock.com. Play like a Prorock.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, Click on your bet and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Easily one of the worst teams of the past month in the NHL, the Philadelphia Flyers. We're going to get to them in a little bit. Hey, it's World Hockey Report. Cody Jansen, Adam Ermintrout with you. It's presented by Lordco Auto Parts, the one-stop shop for quality RV, car, truck, or marine parts and accessories. We are going to talk Flyers in a little bit. Just trying to connect with our guest here, producer James, doing some good work behind the scenes. We're going to figure this thing out. I wanted to get to a couple of comments, Adam. We're not going to let you talk just yet, but there was some good comments. I mean, we asked about finer suspension, the McDavid hit. We gave our 2 cents. There was a couple of good comments, though. James Brinkman hit us up on Twitter, said suspension's got to be firm, even if it's only for a game or two. Quinn Donovan said, do we have any other camera angles? Well, we just tweeted a GIF. I mean, you can search them and find them yourself if you want. Michael Opsitnik says suspension. If there was contact to the head, you got to call it across the board. Trent says, I mean, he takes a run at a guy, throws a direct elbow right to his face. It has to be at least one game, in my opinion. I don't know. Was it a direct elbow to the face? I don't really think so as much. Vegas Dean, he definitely uncorked an elbow into the shoulder. Is it shoulder, head? Adam, where do you, like, I think he kind of followed through and it went into the head.
I think it's one of those classics, like maybe point of contact was the shoulder, but he definitely got him up high.
Yeah, I agree with that one as well. James says neither. Well, he got a $5,000 fine. Absolutely. Penalties, or peanuts for him. Mike Kloss says probably nothing. Looks like Kotkaniemi was laughing right after. I don't know. I didn't see that. Gabe Hughes says both. David Brass, 1 game suspension. I think we're pretty much on board. Hey, appreciate everyone chiming in here. It's World Hockey Report. Follow us on Twitter at World Hockey RPT. I'm on Twitter at Janner31. Adam's there at A. Ermintrout. Let's talk. I mean, we dove into the Blues, how bad they've been. Let's talk a little Flyers before we get our guest on here. Carter Hart. You are one that keeps saying, send him down to the minors. Let him get his confidence. Send him down to the minors. I have to disagree. I think that the minors might, not to say he's got an ego. He's a great guy. I've met him before, skated over summer. I think that a little bit comes down to terrible defense and no confidence. I don't think you really get your confidence back in the minors playing against American leaguers, especially this year when it's weaker than normal. I think it comes down to a lot of coaching. Being fully honest with you, their style of play, their coach totally lost the room. They're not playing well defensively. They're not breaking down. They're not covering guys. They are half-assing it all out there. And again, your goalie's struggling. What do? You got to play better defensively. They're doing the exact opposite.
Yeah, they have one pair that's a combined minus 26 with Phil Myers and Travis Sanheim, and then Nolan Patrick's a minus 20 this year. So yeah, I don't know. You look at some of the goals, and some of them are bad goals. Like, I mean,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, some of them are bad, but some of them like backdoor tap-ins, and then as soon as that, you're like sitting in the net. You're like, well, what the hell is this? And then, like, I mean, it's tough for him, but at the same time, if you go back a couple of years ago, St. Louis told Jake Allen to stay home when they went to Winnipeg. They're like, yeah, just stay home. You're not playing well. Just stay home or whatever. And sure enough, he came back and he played really well, and I think that almost turned his career around. And look, Alain Vigneault healthy scratching Carter Hart and just being like, hey, you're not working hard enough. You're going to work with the goalie coach. I don't really get that one. Like, are you trying to light a fire under him to work harder? And from everything I've heard and you've heard, he's a very hardworking guy. You don't just get to the NHL at age 20 or 21 by being lazy. So it's interesting. I mean, the weird part is I don't know how they thought that Brian Elliott was gonna like steal the show in Philly for them. They kind of doubled down on him, and I don't know, like he wasn't great in Calgary, and then they're like, okay, we'll just go back to Brian Elliott here. And I mean, that's not really a tandem guy you'd want with a young goalie, I don't think.
Do they go out and I don't know?
They
like
said Bernier today.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of names: Bernier, Reimer. But what does that help? I mean, they chuck a guy like Gostisbehere on waivers. What's your plan now? What's your plan with these old forwards who clearly can't get it done? You gotta, at one point in time, shake up this team, say, hey, we're not where we need to be. We're a little top heavy, and we gotta figure out a new formula here. Something's gotta change in Philly. It can't just be, well, we're good enough. We're good enough to be okay. We got a couple of good pieces. Might win a couple of 4-3 games against the Buffalo Sabres. That doesn't help anyone. That doesn't help anyone develop. Look at how well the New Jersey Devils have adapted their game to play defensively in front of Mackenzie Blackwood. When, you know, that's a guy who all of a sudden everyone's going, oh, he's great. He's doing this. He's doing that. Look at the quality of shots he's getting. And look at the quality of shots that teams are getting against Philadelphia. It's night and day, dude. It's wild.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at their division, it's almost set for playoffs, right? I mean, Pittsburgh's won 4 in a row. The Islanders and Capitals are locked in, and Boston's played 2 less games, and they're still 3 points up. So it's hard to see. In Philly's schedule, they play Buffalo once more. Then it's Islanders, Bruins. Oh, they play Buffalo twice more. It's like Islanders, Bruins, Capitals, Pittsburgh. So a lot of tough games. Are not really any freebies. Yeah, as we said, though, if you look at their roster, Claude Giroux's 32, Van Riemsdyk's 31, Voracek's 31. Like, I mean,
they're on the wrong side of 30. As you said, they're on their back 9. This is a team that's not made for the Stanley Cup playoffs anymore. They're not made for a cup run. At one point in time, you got to say, hey, are we just worried about loyalty and letting these guys ride off into the sunset if that means 5 more years of misery? Or are we going to try build an actual damn hockey team around one of the best young goaltenders in the world? You got to figre it out. And I get it. Carter Hart's let in some. Yeah, Prorock too. Who knows how old that guy is, but you know, depends on what his passport says. Oh man, there's so many funny stories about that. We won't get into it. But you got Carter Hart, you got one of the best young goaltenders in the world, and right now you're just procrastinating it because you're not actually building a hockey team around him. You're just keeping 20 guys on the ice to keep him happy. I don't know, Alain Vigneault, like that whole team, that whole organization, they got to figure something out here because it is not good enough. Alrighty, Adam. I'll let you think about our next NHL news topic here, but of course, back for another season of hockey. Our great friends at Coco Vodka, Coco Rum, the best drink you'll ever have on more shelves than ever across Alberta. New cans coming soon too. Some tall boys, blue rum cans now made right here in the Great White North. Refreshingly different Coco Vodka, Coco Rum, vacation in a can. Flavors coming out soon. Lime and pineapple. Enjoy the Coco life with us. High quality ingredients, no fillers, no beer bloat, no cheap liquor. Coco Vodka, Coco Rum, the real deal. What else do you got for us, Adam?
You had a interesting tweet about Jeopardy.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is going to be hosting. I mean, say what you want about Aaron Rodgers. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but whatever. It's still cool to see some celebrity hosts. I've always been a Jeopardy guy. I know not everyone's a Jeopardy guy. That's totally fine. I wanted to know, though, Adam, and I'll toss it over to you. If you could pick one, let's say one current and one former player to host Jeopardy, who are you picking?
I kind of want to go off the board because everybody would be like Keith Yandel, and yeah, that'd be hilarious. Like we see a lot of them. Ovechkin seems like he's funny just because he doesn't really know what's going on or care.
Yeah.
Phil Kessel seemed like a classic answer just because it's like, Phil Kessel. So one of those 3 guys, but if I had to pick like Malkin or Ovechkin or something like that.
Really? You'd go Russian? And see, I was thinking that for my
Malkin's hilarious if you've actually like seen his interviews and like seen some of his YouTube clips. He's like a funny dude just because he kind of has broken English, but he like tries pretty hard.
Yeah, that's fair. Who'd be your former player?
I think everybody would say Brett Hull.
Yeah, Holly's good. What an interview by Cam and Strick. If you haven't listened to that podcast, shout out to them. Oh my goodness. It's honestly, when I say podcast of the year, that's no bullshit. I mean, it is good. Like Brett Hull opens up. He doesn't hold anything back. I loved it. So shout out Cam, Andy Strickland, both friends of the show. Maybe I'll have to get them on to talk about the Blues and how big of a dumpster fire they are. But great interview with Hully there. Okay, so what I was thinking I'll start with former player. And I get it, this guy maybe not the best host, but Ilya Bryzgalov. Funny guy, a little quirky, a little interesting. I think he would be pretty good in that sense. But then current players, I don't know. I feel like it'd be funny to see like Brad Marchand host the show. I don't know. Like I feel like a guy like that, maybe a Marc-Andre Fleury, those
There's
those
a
two.
weird after the Bruins and Sabres game on Saturday, there was like some weird Sportsnet thing where it was like Brad Marchand, Brandon Carlo, and Kevin Miller going fishing, and like it was just a video of them fishing or whatever, and it was actually like kind of funny, and you could see like Marchand definitely knows that he's kind of a hated guy amongst the league,
Yeah.
but he kind of plays the card pretty good.
100%, and he's got to do it. Let's get to some of your answers on Twitter here. Of course, hit us up anytime at World Hockey RPT. I'm on Twitter at Janner31. Adam's there at A. Erman Trout. Give us a follow. Tyler says Ovechkin, highly entertaining. I agree there. Harp goes with Patrick Kane. Would be all right. I don't mind Patty Kane. Ash says Phil Kessel, Coach Water, Bobby Ryan, Tyler Sagan, and the Ben brothers. All the Hughes brothers. That's like, and PK. That's like 8 people. We wanted 1. Coach Waters. Figure it out. Head coach for the Bozeman Ice Dogs. We got to stick with this. Just one answer. Ryan Reeves or Biz Nasty? I was thinking Paul Bissonnette. I think that's kind of a generic one, though. Shout out Ryan McKinney for that answer. Kaniak says Justin Williams. Hutchison for Vezina says Yamamoto or Ryan Reeves. Interesting. I think Revo would be good. Tampa, City of Champions. Oh, maybe we got our guest here.
Yeah.
Let's try one quick. Let's try one for
again,
5
James.
minutes. If we can get Anthony SanFilippo. James is working the magic behind here while we just rip off Jeopardy answers. So we might talk some Flyers some more here. Someone else says Alex Killorn. This one's Jaws for Bolts. I think Killorn would be good. I'm a big fan of. Oh, there he is. It's Anthony SanFilippo. We got 5 minutes with you. It's SanFilippo, correct?
Yes, only 5 minutes. Oh, man.
Hey,
I'll do this quick. Yeah.
Hey, no worries. Cody and Adam here with you on World Hockey Report. Anthony SanFilippo joining us, Flyers writer, co-host of Snow the Goalie. Let's talk about those Flyers. Adam, hit up with your first question.
Yeah, and we're just kind of talking here, and there's a bunch of teams like this, but with the Flyers, they're in a weird spot, I think, as an organization where their best guys are over 30 and they got some good young pieces, but it doesn't really add up. Just what's your thoughts on the core there and kind of the middling roster it's turning out to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the issue really when you look back over the last several years was when Ron Hextall was the GM of this team, he didn't really time it well to have the team be good during the best years of Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek, who were his 2 best players. Obviously, you knew Sean Couturier was coming, and he's now their best player. But other than that, the whole concept of drafting young talent and then developing it and making it take 5 years, 6 years, got to a point where Giroux and Voracek are now on the downside of their careers, and not that they're bad, they're just not the elite players they were 5 years ago. And the players that we were promised that were going to be top-end talent that Hextall was drafting, while they're turning out to be NHL caliber, which is, you do a good job drafting if you draft NHL players, they are not as good as we were promised. And they're turning out to be more just mediocre to average players, and so it's really not a good mix that the Flyers have right now, and it's going to be a real challenge for Chuck Fletcher to get them out of this and back to a spot where they can feel they can contend for a Stanley Cup again.
Well, I got my own issues with Chuck Fletcher, but we'll pass on that. Anthony SanFilippo here for Coco Vodka, Coco Rum. What do they do about Carter Hart? What's your thoughts there?
I don't know if there's anything that they can do in season. Carter's going through a lot of the same things that Carey Price went through in his age 22 season, his 3rd year in the NHL. If you remember back to 2010, he really was terrible, and Jaro Halak kind of took over as the number 1 goalie for the Canadiens and got them to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they lost to the Flyers, who eventually lost to the Blackhawks in the Cup. But I think it's something that he needs to work on over the course of an entire offseason and really kind of right himself and get back to it. I think the talent is there, and I think he'll be okay long term. But, man, in the moment, a bad defense and a goalie with no confidence is just a poor combination to have for a team that thinks it's still kind of in the playoff race. I'll tell you this much, guys. They're resting, or not resting, but they've kind of pushed Carter off to the side. He's not even dressing for either of these games in Buffalo this week. I don't think he's going to dress Saturday against the Islanders. And the Flyers are actually discussing the possibility of trading for another veteran goalie to kind of finish out the season and just let Hart work on his game so that he'll be refreshed come October. 4.04 goals against average is just absolutely dreadful for a kid that a lot of people thought might be in the Vezina conversation this year.
Would sending him to the minors not work out? Like, what are your thoughts there?
They really can't do that because he would have to clear waivers.
He would.
So yeah. So that's part of the issue at this point. So I mean, they might be able to work something out where if you bring somebody else in and he's like your third goalie, they could do maybe a conditioning assignment kind of thing.
Yeah.
That teams have worked the system a little bit that way. But no, I think it's more of a sense of just getting him working with the goalie coach in practices and not have to worry about playing games.
I wanna key in a bit on a guy who I've seen play since he was about 14 or 15 years old, and that's Nolan Patrick. And he's had some shit luck with injuries, but now this year -20, he's kind of playing third, fourth line minutes. I still think there's a player there, but there's just something off right now, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a disconnect, I think. You watch him play sometimes and you can see the talent, you can see the skill level, you can see why everybody thought he was the top prospect going into the 16-17 year prior to the 17 draft. And he goes number 2 overall, and he just really has not put it together. I think that sometimes, you can have all that skill and then, you think it becomes easy. The game comes easy to you. And then when you're challenged, it's a matter of figuring out how to then, the mental side of the game is figuring out how to apply it. And I don't think that Nolan's been able to do that. And I'm not certain if he ever will. But I don't think it's really going to happen in Philly. He's really just being moved all around. They're losing confidence in him. I do know that Chuck, when he was talking to Winnipeg earlier in the year about a potential deal for Line A that fell through, that Nolan Patrick was part of that deal. They've kind of felt that getting him back into Western Canada is where he feels comfortable, and maybe kind of jumpstart him there and do what's right for the player. But here in Philadelphia, I don't see how it works. I don't see where he fits long term. They've given him every chance and enough rope to kind of figure it out, and he just isn't. So it might be a guy. He might be a guy that gets it later in his career and turns out to be a really good player somewhere else. And if that's the case, so be it. But I don't think it's ever going to happen in Philadelphia.
Hey, they only passed on Miro Heiskanen and Cale Makar and Elias Pettersson, so there's that.
Well, I'll tell you this, guys. I know with 100% certainty that the scouts during that draft were telling Hextall that they preferred Heiskanen and Makar. They didn't talk about Pettersson, but Heiskanen and Makar were the two names that they wanted to take at number 2, and Hextall went against his own scouting staff and took Patrick.
Yeah.
So I mean,
had
that's
to
where
go back
kind of.
Yeah, to go back to Brandon. Anthony, thanks. We'll have to get you on for a little longer next time, but thanks for doing this today, and we'll catch up in the future.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know what was going on with my phone, guys, but we'll do this again at some point. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Anthony SanFilippo, right there, talking Flyers. Let's head off to a break. We're going to talk Leafs next with David Alter. I'm trying to make Leafs writer. It's World Hockey Report. Cody Jansen, Adam Ermitront with you on 12 Ounce Sports.
Lordco Auto Parts has been a household name in communities across Western Canada since 1974. Lordco is proudly Canadian owned and operated, and now they're in Edmonton. Carrying much more than just car parts, their newest store in St. Albert Trail Northwest has a huge selection of aftermarket auto parts and accessories. Visit them today for an exceptional customer experience or learn more about their products and services at lordco.com.
Refreshingly different, Coco Vodka and Coco Rum is a vacation in a can. The best drink you'll ever have is now on more shelves than ever. Enjoy the Coco life made with high-quality ingredients. Check us out today at Enjoycoco.com. We are the real deal. Coco Vodka and Coco Rum.
Change your game with the all-new Prorock hockey stick. A Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Prorock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at Prorock.com. Play like a Prorock.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
It's World Hockey Report presented by Lordco Auto Parts. Learn more at Lordco.com. Follow them at Lordco Parts on social media. Our next guest for Prorock Hockey Sticks, the absolute best in affordable professional hockey sticks. It's going to be David Alter here, Toronto Maple Leafs reporter for the Hockey News, joining us to talk some North Division, talk some Leafs. David, how you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, David, thank you. The vibe around the Leafs right now, it's always smoke, it's Toronto and stuff, but there's huge question marks around the goaltending. There's question marks around their bottom three or so defensemen, and there's question marks all around the forward group. Their left side's a mess. Their third and fourth lines are changing every game. Just what's the vibe around the team right now?
The vibe around the team seems like, apart from the goaltending, they're pretty confident with the group that they do have. There's been a lot of adjustments, as you mentioned, with the forward lines and with the defense, but a lot of it is just having to adjust based on the necessity of how often you're playing against these teams, that you kind of have to give them different looks because they've adjusted to what you've been throwing at them in the games previous. So I think there's that. And with goaltending, the health is a concern. And with the team right up against the salary cap and trying to accumulate deadline space, ask anyone who has an opinion. They'll tell you differently all the time what they should address as opposed to what they could address. So the vibe is that, their playoff spot is pretty secured when you look at the math at everything. But health of the goaltending situation has definitely risen to the surface over the last few weeks or so.
I wanted to ask about the goaltending because I'm not ready to call Jack Campbell your designated number one when he's played 6 full games, I think it is. But from your perspective, and Freddie Anderson has gone through some injury trouble, so I don't want to rag on him too much, but did the Leafs play way better in front of Campbell than Anderson, or is that just me, watching my half a dozen Leafs games each year?
I don't know if they've played that much better. I think they've adjusted to the fact that there's a new goalie going in net or a different goalie going in net. So we've got to, play a little bit more down low, but or up high, I guess, depending on which side of the puck. But I think it's been unusual when they got Frederik Anderson 5 years ago. What they really liked about him was his positioning. When he's healthy, he always kind of was square at the puck, and his position in the crease was what they really liked about him, and they played well in front of him as a result. The issues with his health has certainly been a problem, and the goaltending on the other side, when they've been peppering the opposition with shots and scoring opportunities and high danger scoring chances, are such that they haven't liked what they've got, and they're trying to find that proper mix. Campbell's very athletic. He's kind of a throwback in that regard, but his style is such that he's been getting hurt and he's not been able to stay consistent. They want to see what they have in Campbell to see if he's got that potential, but every time they have to throw him back, if he's ailing and hurt again, it's bringing back his progression. It's been a question mark with him. So I really think that they're looking for some sort of clarity here. Anderson's going to get another follow-up appointment on his lower body injury to see where he's at tomorrow. And look, Jack Campbell's been good when he's been in, but the on-off is one that they don't really know if he's got what it takes beyond what he's shown them so far.
David, I want to ask you about the top 6 forwards. I'd say there's kind of 2 pairs, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander. And then the left side, it's either Hyman or Thornton with the top guys. And then I think Galchenyuk's played pretty well with Tavares and Nylander. But do you see this team in your opinion, do you think a guy like Michael Granlund really moves the needle or something like that, or Taylor Hall? Or, I mean, Kerfoot's obviously the guy who'd be out, but where do you see the top 6 finishing up kind of come game 1 of the playoffs?
Yeah, you know what? There could be a lot of adjustments there. I do think the Leafs could be served by getting someone like him or someone that does what Hyman does, which is has the ability to score if he's in the right position, but create the time and space for the other 2 talented forwards on that side. That's why Hyman was kind of that regular as a top 6 for much of his career with the Maple Leafs until this season when they moved him down and tried different combinations with Thornton. They had Simmons move up from the 4th line to the 2nd line at times this season, and they've moved it kind of around. But there's been some instability in that spot where getting someone who could be a regular left winger on that side to complement Hyman, who I think is fine in that spot on the top line, or even when you move him down to the 2nd line, is kind of what they're missing for consistency going into the playoffs for that top 6. Galchenyuk, it's a limited sample size, but you're right, he's looked really good in that spot with Tavares and Nylander, who for much of the season have kind of struggled for even strength production. A lot of it is trying to get guys who will make the space for the production for those players. When Tavares played, or when Hyman played with Tavares and Marner, there was no issue when it came to production in that spot. So they're really trying to find that delicate mix. And then what you do with the other veterans to make sure they're getting that time is also of consequence. So yeah, they can definitely be better served by someone who can play in that top 6 that can at least create the chances for those duos to put up more points.
One last one here for you. What does Zach Hyman's next contract look like, and has he priced himself out of Toronto?
Well, I know Zach Hyman, his priority would be to stay at Toronto Maple Leaf. Like, it's always been his dream, his spot. He's got business interests that can kind of offset situations where it's more advantageous for him to stay in Toronto. That said, I don't think he's interested in taking a hometown discount as well. And so he may have priced himself out. I think the Leafs have vehicles and mechanisms where they can kind of make most of his salary through signing bonuses and things like that can kind of offset things that they can't provide for him otherwise. But if he's looking to hit a home run on what could be his final time to cash in on a big mega money contract, it may be best served by trying to play the market as opposed to Toronto. So, I mean, the number of 5.5 has been boundied around in terms of what he could get on the free agent market. I don't think Toronto is in that spot, but if they could find other manipulative vehicles within the CBA to make it worth his while, there could be something there for him to stay.
I got one more for you. I got to cut in here. Do you think the Leafs are happy that they didn't let Nick Robertson go to World Juniors?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're happy or sad about it. I think it was one of those situations where they were kind of damned if they do or damned if they don't. So I think in hindsight, maybe he could have been better served by that. I don't think they expected him to get injured in the very first game he would play this season and then have other injuries after that. So I don't think they regret it, because they don't strike me as a team that kind of looked at this unusual season as one where they can kind of second guess their decisions. It was what it was when they had to make the decision at the time, and it's just unfortunate that the injuries that happened afterwards are such that he could have had more reps and maybe been more game ready than he would have been had he played in World Juniors.
Awesome.
Alrighty, David.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making time. We appreciate you hopping on the show here this morning.
No problem. Appreciate it, guys.
David Alter right there, Toronto Maple Leafs reporter for the Hockey News. Okay, let's get to some Quack Stats benching here before we talk about college hockey. But who are we going to bench today? Adam, for Quack Stats, the most advanced player tracking technology. Who are you sitting?
Oh, man. You go. I want you to go first. I want to see yours.
You're just procrastinating. Here's who I'm gonna bench here, and this is going to sound really bad because I don't want to rip on Connor Bedard, but I mean, for everyone being like, "Oh my goodness, this guy's leading the dub in scoring." Adam, I know you've got ties, and I know you can't say it, but the WHL looks weak this year. I've now watched multiple games. It's not the same. It is way different, and there's no way if this is a regular season, if this is last year, full fans, actual Western Hockey League hockey, not a chance. Man, I seen him go around for like 10 shifts and he didn't get touched. Whole game.
Okay, this is what I'll say on that, and it's very important. It's very incredible to see what he's doing at age 15. Like, good for him. But
I'm not saying it's not incredible. I'm just saying that there's no chance he's even close to this if they're playing actual Western League hockey. It's not the same.
Not. And if you look at the save percentages of a couple of the teams, they're like 850, 860 in that bubble. And teams are like the Prince Albert Raiders were only able to dress one goalie for a couple of games because their starter got hurt. So there's that. Another team, I think Winnipeg, starting a guy who was basically cut off to the BCHL last year, but they needed a guy to kind of come in and be a third goalie. And yeah, I mean, good for him to see what he's doing, but you can't tell me that what he's doing. And then you look, he played the best team in there in Saskatoon, and he only had 1 point on the power play, right? So it's like it's
I know,
tough.
and that's why I said, like, I'm not trying to like rip this kid a new one. I'm just saying, let's pump the brakes here on being like he's 10 times the player Shane Wright is. I mean, these are comments that people are making on Twitter. People are going, he might have a better season than McDavid. You know, like, let's pump the brakes. Watch a dub game this year and watch one in a regular season. Yeah. It's different hockey.
Even you look at other teams in there, like you look at some guys who are like 30-point guys last year, and all of a sudden they have like 14 points in 8 games or something like that, and they've never been that, and you know.
So maybe I'll bench the Western Canadian media instead of Connor Bedard. I don't want to sound too harsh on the kid, but like the media that's blowing it out of proportion, and you know exactly who I'm talking about in Regina. I mean, let's pump the brakes here, guys. Okay, yeah. You don't need to bench anyone this week. Let's talk college hockey. How crazy was that 5 overtime game? What's the longest game you've ever been at, seen? You know, like from your hockey playing days, media days.
It was actually Evan Winiger was in net for the Blazers, 127 minutes. So I think
the contacts?
No, it was against Moose Jaw. So I think that's the fourth overtime, because in AAA they do it a little different, where after the third period, if it's tied, there's a 10-minute overtime. Yeah. There's no flood, and then they flood. So it was like pretty much the fourth overtime, I guess. Winiger is in end. The Blazers won. And shout out Lane Peterson was on that team too, and hopefully he's making his debut sometime soon. And yeah,
not a big deal. Lane's not actually from Kyle. He's just got a bunch of family.
Yeah, he's got a bunch.
But great kid. Okay, bet of the night, MyBookie.ag, 50% deposit bonus when you use promo code 12OZ Sports. MyBookie.ag. I'm taking the Winnipeg Jets in regulation. I'm sorry. I mean, David Alter, thanks for coming on the show. I don't think the Leafs are doing it tonight. Jets in regulation plus 180. You like it? You gonna fade it?
No, I like that. I'll also go Minnesota over San Jose. They had a crazy shootout the other day. Erik Karlsson was like eating an apple after the game or whatever, but
told the media to pound sand, basically. Also, shout out to all the Sasky guys in this Frozen Four. Everyone knows Saskatchewan guys run college hockey. You win games when you're recruited to Saskatchewan. That's how I'm going to end this show. Alrighty, Cody Jansen, Adam Urbantrout, for producer James Sutherland. Thanks to our guest, David Alter. Anthony SanFilippo. Go check them out on Twitter. We're there all the time at World Hockey RPT. Until next week, everyone, be kind, be better.
World Hockey Report is presented by Lordco Auto Parts, Prorock Hockey Sticks, Coco Vodka and Coco Rum, and Quack Stats.